don't think anybody's even in the chat. All right, and we're on the air. So this is Bacon Bits episode. I don't even remember how many we've done now. Warpig's been here with me for all but I think two. I think two of the shows, right?
2 or 3, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I think we must be pushing about 3 months here.
Has it been that long, really? I'm not saying you're wrong. I just
I'm looking back on the old shows, and I'm pretty sure we've done about 14 of them. So I think we're maybe 2.5 months. I never thought it would go this long, to be honest with you, but here we are, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, you know what I want to talk to you about is Fallout. The DLC was announced, I think, yesterday, or at least part of the DLC. I'm sure that's not going to be all of it. But what did you think about the announcement there? To me, it looked like, the big one looked intriguing to me. The one where you go to the island off of the coast of Maine, Far Harbor. But the other two looked sort of like, they didn't really excite me that much. What did you think?
Yeah, one of them was you build traps and trap things and make them fight each other.
Yes, that's Wasteland Workshop.
And was building your own robot also part of that?
No, that's Automatron. That's the first one. That comes out in March. That's a horde of evil robots in the Commonwealth, and you destroy them.
Oh, okay.
And you build your own traveling companions from the scraps after you destroy them.
But there's like modules and quests and stuff with it. It's not just the robot thing.
I didn't see any mention of quests in the description from Bethesda. It did say customizable paint jobs and new available weapons, and you can give your robots different voices. I mean, that one's only like $9.99, so I'm not really sure.
Well, if they've got, if there's a horde of robots attacking and you can stop them, there have to be some kind of, mission structure associated with fighting that robot horde. So there has to be quests with that.
I would think so, but see that the only reason I don't know is because they specifically mention the quests in Far Harbor.
Oh yeah.
Don't mention them at all in the first two, so I don't know.
So if I was to rate those three based on how excited I am, Far Harbor would be number 1, Automaton or whatever it's called would be number 2, and Thunderdome would be dead last.
Wasteland Workshop?
I'll call it Thunderdome. Well, that's what it is, isn't it? That's what it is. You're setting traps, you capture things, you send them into the ring, 2 men enter, or 2 monsters enter, or 2 whatever enter, 1 man leaves.
Or you can set them loose on your settlers, it says.
Oh, great.
It sounds a little bit like Metal Gear to me, that little mini game they had with the zoo. It sounds a little similar to that, but that one's only $4.99. So maybe not that big a deal. But the biggest news buried at the bottom of their press release was that they're gonna really crank up the price on the season pass. So
it used to be $29.99, so $30, and now they're going to be charging $49.99 or $50.
Right, $50 for the season pass. So that's basically like buying a second game.
Yeah.
So they said they
By the way,
yeah. Go ahead.
The news story came out yesterday, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Brand new yesterday. I bought the DLC season pass yesterday.
You should. You have until March 1st.
You have until March 1st. I bought it. I was going to get the $30 anyway. I was going to spend the $30 anyway. I already had that budgeted in. I was just waiting until like the first DLC came out to buy it. But as soon as they said, "Oh yeah, we're increasing the price," I'm like, "Well, screw that. I'll get this right now."
That's the big takeaway, I think, from their press release. If you're listening and you're a huge Fallout fan and you want the DLC, get it now. Well, it's still $29. Otherwise, you're going to wind up paying $50 after March 1st. So
you have a couple weeks to get it. So if you don't have money, go sell plasma, whatever you feel like you need to do to get money.
It better be worth $50. I'm telling you. And I don't know if that's going to be a precedent now. The season passes are always going to be like buying a second game, but they said they expanded their DLC plan. Given the expanded DLC plan for Fallout, they're raising the rates, is what they said. So I don't know what that means exactly, but I know it's got to mean that there's more to it than these three announced modules, because that's definitely not $50 with the stuff there. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see if it's worth it.
Well, it may sound odd. Bethesda is one of the few companies I still kind of trust.
Yeah, I don't think they're out to screw anybody. I mean, it's a giant, massive game anyway. I already feel like I got more than $60 worth of entertainment out of the game anyway. So
yeah,
anything they tag, I mean, let's play. I got 5 days of game time total in Fallout. So where else can you get 5 days worth of entertainment? What is that? 120 hours?
that's a lot. I've got way more than 5 days out of it, but I don't have it up, so I couldn't tell you how much, but I've got way more than 5 days. I might have 10 days in one playthrough, and I think I've got 2 days in another playthrough.
So yeah, I mean, break that down by the hour though, and that's cheaper.
Yeah.
That's cheaper entertainment than anything else, than movies or anything else. So that's pennies on the hour.
And it's enjoyable. It's not it's not like, this is what I hate about MMOs. Just to reveal my bigotry, I dislike MMOs because it's all just meaningless grind. Whereas with Fallout, it's not just meaningless grind. There's all kinds of fun stuff I'm doing, and
Yeah. They somehow leave you with that. There's always that sense of, I got to see what's around the corner.
Yeah.
In Fallout, and there's so much to discover. Sometimes I think the map isn't as big as I think it is, because there's so many buildings that you actually can't go into. But it's still a huge game. I don't know that it's any bigger than Witcher was, for example, though. So, yeah.
Like I said, I played through, one playthrough is 10 hours, and the other one is 10 days. And the other one, I think, is 2 days right now. But in the second playthrough, I'm finding all kinds of stuff I missed on my first playthrough. Like, I'll walk around and start investigating something, and it turns out, oh, hey, there's a building there. Oh, hey, there's like a little mini quest thing, or, some kind of new monster or something. I'm like, I had no idea this was here. I just missed it the last time I...
Oh, yeah. It's packed with stuff like that you can easily... My brother beat it, and I was talking to him last night, and it's amazing. It's like we played 2 different games. The experiences that I had and the experience that he had, they weren't similar at all. Like, I took, what's that, Curie, the robot that you find there?
Yeah.
I took her to the memory den and got her put into a synth.
Really?
So she walks and talks and has, arms and legs now.
I had no idea you could do that.
I stumbled into it by accident. I just kept... All the traveling companions, I just keep hitting talk, and I talk to them over and over again, and every now and then one of them will spill out some little detail of something that they want to do, and I do it. So, if you're aligned with the railroad, you can take her to the memory den after you talk to her, and because she wants to conduct science experiments, and she thinks that she needs arms to do that. So you take her to the memory den, they find a synth that's had its memory wiped, and then she gets placed into that, and then she just falls to the floor like an empty husk when it's over, but then she's your traveling companion and she walks around with you.
Huh.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about that game. You've got 5 days worth or 10 days worth of playtime, and you didn't even stumble onto that. So there's a ton of stuff like that in that game. I assume you did Nick Valentine's quest, right? With Eddie Winter?
No, I didn't. Not during my first playthrough. Apparently... Well, the thing is, I like the lone wolf perks, so I hit all the lone wolf perks, which means you never really get your companions around to get their triggers to where they start liking you. So I never got his quest. And I went back and actually looked at the wiki after to try and figure out if I could somehow get back to it, and it's basically impossible. If you don't hit the right points during the main quest line, then it's almost impossible to get him to a point where he's going to say, okay, because I picked up a ton of the Eddie Winter tapes. I just never got to do the quest. That's
funny because that was the first time I just stumbled onto him, and I don't know what I did to trigger that quest, but I definitely triggered it, and that's when I realized that these companions might have, extra stuff to do. So that's when I started talking to all of them, and that's how I wound up with, getting the Curie quest. I haven't found one for Strong. I don't know if one exists for him.
He disappeared on me.
Like
I said, I like the lone wolf perks, and so I stick all of my companions in one settlement or another, and I assigned him to a settlement, and he just disappeared, and I never found him again the rest of the game. No idea.
You're not the first one I've heard say that. I actually heard another person say that they wish that the game had some sort of recall mechanism for their companions because they get lost.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't lost one permanently yet. I mean, I've had them bizarrely wander away from me when they're on missions, and all of a sudden they're outside of the building, or they're just. I had Strong. Some Strong just walked into a wall and kept pumping his legs, but he wasn't going anywhere.
Fallout New Vegas had a nice system for that, where you could go to any of the basic terminals, and it would tell you where your companions were and allow you to just send them back to whatever your home base was.
Yeah, see, there's a number of things about this game that it's far from perfect. There's a number of things that I would change about this game, but I just off the top of my head, I would love it if I was able to sell items to vendors right from my companion's inventory also, instead of having to go,
oh yeah,
take all their stuff out and then crawl over to the vendor because now I'm overweight, and then sell all that stuff and then give back to them what I wanted to keep. If I could just access their inventory from the vendor, I think it'd be far easier. But there's a lot of little glitches in there. But for the most, and I've annoyingly fallen through the environment several times, which is one of those things that always pisses me off because I have to go back to an old load. And
now, are you playing on the PC or on a console?
Console.
Which one?
Xbox.
Okay, I have only fallen through geometry when I have climbed up to the top of two specific buildings. And I'm not saying you can't, because I know you can. I've done it in other Fallout games a lot, but I guess I've been lucky with my playthroughs. It's only happened on two specific buildings.
Yeah, I was going to capture. It happened to me yesterday, and I actually fell into a spot where I didn't die or anything, but I just couldn't. I couldn't get out of it. I was like in between a wall or something. I don't know. I was just stuck there. So I tried to screen grab it, but the Kinect, because it sucks, wasn't picking up on my voice command. So I just gave up after a while. But it's a love-hate affair with that game. There's so much I love about it, and there's so many bugs, though. I mean, it's one of the buggier games I've played, I think.
Oh, always is. Bethesda is known for its bugs. By the way, if you've got the new, I don't even know what they call it, the new Xbox experience, whatever the new OS update is for the Xbox, you can take a screen grab by double tapping the white X button on your controller, and it automatically take a screenshot.
Huh. You see, I didn't know that. That's good to know. That interface, I know I beat this horse so many times, and I tweeted about it last week, but god damn, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's terrible. It's absolutely disastrous.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I wanted to stream a game to YouTube last week on the PS4. I pressed one button, clicked on YouTube, and then I started playing the game, and I was done. I came upstairs to try to do that for the Xbox, and I plowed around and went through several menus. All roads lead to the freaking store for some reason. No matter what I click, I wind up in the store. Always. It's just so hard to use. It drives me insane.
Yeah, it was... Man, was it Matrick, the guy who was in charge while they were designing the Xbox One?
He got fired, right? Was it the guy that got fired?
Yeah, I don't know if he got fired or if he just wisely left and went and became the CEO of Zynga, which surprisingly enough completely failed. The whole company shut down under his leadership, but he was terrible. The Xbox One had just some of the worst decisions at every level of the console. Every single level was bad decisions. Yeah,
that's right. It really was. It's almost as bad as when they decided to go with what they not Blu-ray, but the other one, whatever that one was.
HD DVD.
Yeah, HD DVD. That was a near fatal blow, I think, for them. So, last week we ended right at 9 last week because I wanted to jump over and check out Adam Baldwin. So I heard that interview. That must have been pretty thrilling for you, huh?
I was excited. Yeah, I was mad because of the technical issues, because the Google Hangouts screwed us over so badly, but we still got to do it. We had sound problems, which makes me wince when I listen to it. But it was awesome being able to interview Adam. So
Yeah, he wasn't able to click on a join link or something. Is that what happened?
apparently, the Hangouts app on the phone doesn't allow you to join Google Hangouts on the air live, even though it should, and they say it does. It didn't. So I literally had to physically hold my phone up to my mic, and he would talk into his phone. The sound would come out of the speakers on my phone and go into my mic for people to hear.
Okay. I was wondering how the hell you were doing that, because oh, that sucks, man. I mean, Jesus Christ, you finally get an interview with a guy like that, and it goes, he was pretty funny. I thought he was amusing. I liked his Will Wheaton answer.
Oh yeah,
he was about as he's pretty diplomatic while kind of saying the guy's a dick. He was pretty good. I liked it. I wouldn't want him. What did he say? He said he's met him personally and he thinks he's an all right guy, but he wouldn't want him in political office or something like that. I thought that was pretty clever. I really liked. I like listening to him. I just kind of, man, it would be fun to talk to him.
Oh, come on, dude. This has got to be the best story I'm going to tell in the next couple of years. It's like, okay, so what's going on? I said, well, I'm watching Super Bowl 50, literally watching Super Bowl 50. And on my phone, I'm DMing with Adam Baldwin, the actor, to set up time to interview him the next day.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is, I mean, come on, he's taking time off during the freaking Super Bowl to talk to me about getting the interview set up. That's just, he was a very classy guy, very generous guy, because he didn't have to do that. I mean, he didn't have to say yes to the interview, and he didn't have to take time during the Super Bowl.
No, he certainly didn't.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful he took the time. I'm very grateful he was a, classy guest. He offered to buy me a drink if I was ever in LA.
Well, it's funny because, you have those technical issues and you can tell he's sort of a humble, down-to-earth, decent guy because, a lot of guys in his position would have just said, fuck it, I'm not doing it then. If I have to call you on the phone or if it's not working, and it seems like he stuck it out because it took you about 20 minutes, it seemed like, right?
Yeah, it did, 20 minutes.
And he stuck with you, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was very grateful that he was patient with the situation.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. You should tell him to buy you a ticket to LA. You know what? Just put up get a Patreon up to go meet Adam Baldwin. You'll probably get the money. He'll get the cash to do it.
That was a hilarious thing though, because like I do Geek Gab with my two friends, awesome. Brian and Dornall, and so they're listening in on the phone, but they can't participate even though they're normally part of the show. So.
See, that stinks for them too, huh? Because they didn't get to talk to him.
They're just having to listen to us. So finally, we get off the air, and he's like, "Okay, so when you come up to LA, I'll buy you a drink." And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't drink. I'm LDS. I don't drink." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, yeah, I don't drink. He's like, "Nothing?" I'm like, "No, I don't drink." And he's like, "What about a cigar?"
Well, shit, I'll take your beer then.
I said, so I had to say, no, I don't smoke either.
You're straight edge, huh?
I'm LDS. I'm Mormon.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what LDS meant.
Oh, yeah, not a lot of people do. But no, I'm Mormon. So, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and so I'm like, I'm trying to, I've got a Hollywood movie star. And I'm trying to say, I'm sorry, man. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm like, but I do like steaks. He's like, oh, okay. I'll take you out for a steak dinner and I'll drink all the red wine. I'm like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Oh, I would love to get him on a show sometime. That would be so much fun. He seems pretty open to doing the smaller podcasts too, which is unusual for a guy his stature, but he's all around just so damn cool. I have sat in, I mean, not like on the air, but I've listened to him doing podcasts with a lot of people who are, Gamergate related, Gamergate affiliated. I'm not saying he doesn't do other ones. He may do other ones. Those are just the ones I know about. Yeah. He's just you know, I would have told him. Say I probably would have fanboyed a little bit because I can't help it. I love the guy, but there was that. I don't know why it got me and why I thought it was so funny, but when he called those guys the bi-morons in in one of the later episodes of Chuck, it just killed me. He's just got a way. He's got a pretty good comedic delivery to him for a guy who's usually pretty straight.
Yeah, he does. And a lot of it is because he's playing off that straight, he's playing against his straight sort of, I don't want to say stereotyping, but typecasting. That's what I want to say.
Yeah. All right. So, there was a question I wanted to ask you because I'm very interested to hear your opinion on this. There was a story that broke a little bit earlier today about the court forcing Apple to crack the phone of one of the dead terrorists from San Bernardino. And now I'm seeing a lot of technical reporters on Twitter kind of, I wouldn't say whine about it, but they seem to disagree with it. And they're saying that it sets a dangerous precedent. My personal opinion is I don't see what the precedent they think is going to be set here. That when a terrorist dies, you crack his phone. Is that the precedent they think? There's no way. There seem to be trying to make some slippery slope argument here where the government can force Apple to unlock anyone's phone, and that was not the case at all. I mean, it's just she's a dead terrorist, and they want to get onto her phone and find out what else she had planned and who she was talking to. And frankly, I don't think Apple should have had to been forced to do it in the first place. I think they should have just done it. So I don't see any slippery slope or any precedent that they're setting, and I don't know why Apple resisted doing it in the first place. In fact, it probably would have even made the papers if they'd have just done it.
So let's back up. There's two issues here, which is the technical issue and the court issue. I don't actually know, legally speaking, if the FBI, I have no idea what the court or law is, whether the FBI can get a warrant for a computer company to break its own security for a phone or a smartphone or a computer. And smartphones are basically, they're just computers with a different form factor. So they're the same thing.
Right.
I'm not saying they're right or wrong as far as like slippery slope or things like that. I have no idea what the courts have decided or what laws have been passed. So I don't know what the legal issues there were, one way or the other. The problem is there's two problems going forward why this just isn't going to matter in 2 or 3 years. The first one of which is the technical details of what happened. In order to break into this phone, what they would have to do is program a new version of the OS with hacked drivers, upload it into the firmware, and then reboot the phone using a custom version of the OS. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, this doesn't exist yet, and if it does exist, hackers can use it to break into phones or whatever. Well, the problem is that's bullshit. For one, it's in Apple's own secure servers in their own campus. So if it does leak, it's an Apple employee doing it, and it's their own damn fault. But two, it isn't going to matter in 2 years because with the iPhone 6, they introduced something called the Secure Enclave. And if you have the thumbprint or fingerprint recognition turned on, it doesn't matter. It's in hardware. They physically could not break that security on a phone to let the FBI get access to it. It's technically impossible to do it in software. And so
I didn't realize that.
So now that's only if they have turned on fingerprint recognition. If they haven't, then it may still be possible. And it also may still be possible to do some kind of hardware hack. But at that point, you're basically requiring Apple to put in a ton of work to code a custom version of their OS anyway. If they're going to do that, they have the right to. It's not just a matter of, okay, we've discovered the passcode, now you can unlock.
Right.
Actually having to physically alter the OS And that takes time. That takes, recompiling, bug testing, whatever. And so they have the right, I would think. The FBI can't just demand that they do all that work for them. They'd have to, Apple could build them for it.
Yeah, I don't see anywhere why. I mean, Apple never said it was a money issue.
No, they didn't.
If they had said that, I imagine they could have gotten paid for their work. I mean, I don't think. Maybe. I assume, right?
I don't see where it's legal for the government to demand they do work for free. Now, again, like you said, they never mentioned that, but if that's what they wanted, then Apple should get paid.
The statement from Tim Cook here says that they're going to fight the order because it has implications far beyond the legal case at hand. We have respect for the FBI and believe their intentions are good. Up to this point, we have done everything in our power to help and everything within the law to help, but now the government has asked us to do something we simply do not want to do, and it would be dangerous for us to create, and that is they have asked us to build a backdoor to the iPhone. So I guess what he's saying is that I guess what he's saying is what you said, that if they built a backdoor, it would be dangerous somehow. Or I can't. I think if she had fingerprint recognition on, they could have just used her corpse to get into it, right?
Well, they had it's a 5C. Is the specific model of iPhone at hand, and it doesn't have the fingerprint recognition. But in order to break into it, they have to program they have to reprogram all the security, recompile a brand new version of the OS, and then boot it into I think it's a diagnostic mode that allows you to flash the internal firmware. I think it's called DVAU, but I forget what that stands for.
Well, it's funny because, all right, like after death, usually certain privacy things don't extend past death, like your medical records or anything that you might have said to your psychiatrist if you go crazy and kill a bunch of people and they want your medical records from your shrink, that kind of thing, that kind of confidentiality dies with you. So as far as any expectation of privacy you have on your phone, I can't imagine that extends beyond the grave. And I don't understand. Okay, so like for example, the federal agent responds and he says, "Nobody should build a phone that we cannot get into under unique circumstances. Why should Apple be allowed to build a phone that does that? This right should not supersede our ability to keep people safe. It's why we are not finding others." Encryption, and specifically in this case, it's why we cannot connect the dots.
That guy, whoever that federal agent is, doesn't know what he's talking about in the specific technical details of this case. Because the FBI was not asking Apple to build in a backdoor that they would then ship with every iPhone. At least not in this case. The NSA and the FBI have asked that a couple of months ago. The FBI director demanded that. Now, that's just wrong. When the FBI demanded that Apple build a backdoor that would ship with every phone so that every iPhone would ship with a backdoor, well, that's just wrong. That's stupid and wrong, because if there is a security vulnerability, anyone can access it, not just the FBI. But that's not what they were asking in this case. In this case, they were asking, okay, we want to take this one specific phone. We want to bring it to the Apple campus and have you physically do this for us. And we want you to code a new version of the operating system. And basically what they were coding is, in order to break into the phone, they have to find the passcode, which let's just assume right now it's the basic 4-digit passcode that the phone's default shipped with. But there is a limit to how fast you can enter those digits, and there's a limit to how many times you can enter those digits. Guesses at it. So there's 10,000 possible guesses, from 4 zeros all the way up to 4 nines. 10,000 possibilities. There's a limit to how many times you could do it before the phone goes into lockdown. So what they're asking for is Apple to devise security routines that will let them do it more quickly, so that instead of entering that one every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, it's like 100 a second or whatever. And that there is no limit on the number of times they could do it before the phone gets locked down, so they could, if they had to, do all 10,000 of them. I think that asking for this one thing to happen for this one phone on Apple's campus, if they were compensated for their time, I do not see that it the technical details of it set a dangerous precedent. Now, you can claim that the legal precedent is dangerous, that in another court case that isn't a dead terrorist, maybe the government could abuse the power it's been granted here to demand that they, use a phone that somebody was accused of carjacking or something, that they want to break into it, and now Apple has to do that too.
Right.
I could see where you can make that argument. I don't know that that argument is right, but at least that's a coherent argument. But in this specific case, as long as Apple is being repaid for their time, and it's happening on Apple servers, and it's happening at Apple's headquarters, they are not asking Apple to build in a back door that would be threatening to every iPhone ever. They're asking Apple to basically make it easier for them to access information from this one phone. And I don't think that the alarmism is justified.
Yeah, I don't either. I understand privacy issues are a big deal right now, and I understand that I think it's more for them. I think it's more of a public relations issue than it is anything else. If they break this phone or build what he says, would necessarily create a backdoor that bypasses security. And while the government argues that its use would be limited to this particular case, there is no way to guarantee that. I don't think that he really believes that. I just think it's a thing where if it gets out that they did it, that they would take a PR hit, and he doesn't want to. But if the FBI says that there's data on that phone that may prevent future attacks, if they have known accomplices and lives are at stake, I just don't understand why you wouldn't unlock the damn phone. To me, I mean, that's just my opinion on that. I don't understand why they would play that. That's a dangerous game they're playing, because if something does happen, what's the worst PR hit? If something does happen and it could have been prevented by unlocking that phone, isn't that a worse PR hit than we wrote some code to unlock one dead terrorist phone?
I think. I think that what he said was technically correct, in that yes, it isn't just about this one phone. The government could ask him to do it in the future. Yeah, okay, that's technically correct. The government could ask you to do it on other phones in the future, but they're not right now. They're just asking you to do it on this one phone, and especially when you were talking about an active terrorist who was part of a Pakistani. Because remember, this is the woman's phone. Okay, she was from Pakistan. She was a member of a literal terrorist group in Pakistan and only emigrated to the America a couple of years ago. So, yeah, she easily could have been in contact with several other terrorists and might have operational details on looming terrorist threats in her phone. That is more than plausible.
Right. So you agree they should unlock it?
Yeah, I mean, what he's saying is technically correct, but it is irrelevant to this specific case.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I hear you playing something. What are you playing right now?
I am just driving around at random on GTA 5. I'm not actually doing anything. I'm driving up and down the streets because it keeps my hands busy while I'm talking.
You have that for the one?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I kind of want to get that, but I can't. I just can't. There's so many games out that I want to play. I just can't go rebuy an old one like that. I know it's been remastered, and I know that there's like different points of view and stuff now in it. But is it worth rebuying? Did you find it was worth rebuying?
Yeah, that's really not a question you want to ask me.
Why? Because you love it?
I have seriously, actually, literally bought this game 5 times.
Why? What did you do? Like trade it in and then rebuy it, or?
No, I bought it originally on the 360, and then I bought a PS3, and I didn't have many games to play on the PS3, so I bought it again on the PS3. And by the time I got back to playing games on my 360, the CD-ROM drive was broken, so if I wanted to play games, they had to be download only. So I bought it on download on the 360.
Oh my god! So you bought 5 copies of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yes, I bought Grand Theft Auto 5 times because then the Xbox One came out and I wanted to play it on the Xbox One. So I bought it on disc on the Xbox One.
Maybe somebody will send me a code. Somebody send me a code for Grand Theft Auto and I'll play it. That's awesome. It is a great game. You were going to get into Red Dead Redemption last time I talked to you. Did you ever get into it?
Yeah, I started playing it. I've not played it extensively, but I've got through the first 2 or 3 missions. And I love that game. I've forgotten because I haven't played it since 2011. Okay, so it's been 5 years since I played it, and I forgot how much I loved. I'm not even talking about gameplay. I'm just talking about the ambiance. You know, the Old West feel.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I love this. This is awesome. They need to make a sequel to this right now. I don't understand why they haven't made a sequel.
I don't either. I don't either because it's fantastic.
It is. And again, I'm not even talking
finished it, right?
What? No, I never finished it.
Yeah, so
I'll
we
tell
didn't
you
get to
why.
the end.
Okay.
Oh, it's fantastic.
There is a mission where you're like in a tank or something.
Uh-huh.
And I kept on doing that like 3 or 4 or 5 times. I just gave up because I always died and I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do to beat it. And it just pissed me off so much I quit.
I've been there. I've actually rage quit a couple of games. Not many. In all of my, I don't know, 30 years of game playing, I don't think I've rage quit more than a handful of games, and I could probably name them. I rage quit Wet. I started playing Wet on hard.
Oh,
and there is no way to difficulty level there. So I was probably 3/4 of the way through it, and I got stuck in this part, and it just drove me crazy. So I wound up rage quitting that game.
And I liked Wet. Wet had a lot of good stuff about it. It
did. It really did.
It had some bad implementation of things, but there was a lot to like about that game.
There was a lot I did like about that game, and there was some camera issues I had with it, but for the most part, it wasn't. It's just one of those games I should have played through on normal until I really got the hang of the controls and the nuances to it, and then I should have went back and played it on the extra hard or whatever that was. But I couldn't get through that part. I tried it probably 100 times, and then I just quit. So I gave up. I rage quit Dark Souls after.
Yeah.
I don't know, 30 hours probably.
I can understand that.
Yeah, and I don't regret it because that game drove me to the brink of madness.
In fact, I got
so mad.
I think people who play Dark Souls are those kind of people who like being so angry they want to rage quit. They're just inhuman, and so they don't. But that's the purpose.
Masochists, right?
Yeah, it's the
They're
golf.
Masochists.
Dark Souls is golf, is what it is. It's golf for video gamers.
It is. It really is. Go ahead.
No, that's what golf is. You knock the ball, it's going to miss the hole. Yeah. It won't go where you want. You always, the damn ball ends up in the lake or, slicing off into the rough or whatever. It never does what you want it to do. And you just have to manage the frustration of playing it. That's what Dark Souls is.
And you know what happens too? People who beat that game become incredibly douchey all of a sudden. They wear it as such a. My brother beat it, and you would think he wears it like a badge of honor. Anytime we talk about games, he'll say, "Well, being the superior gamer, that's how he starts his opinions." And I'll say, "No, you're not." Oh, really? Did you beat Dark Souls? Was it too hard for you? I mean, what a douche! It's incredible how proud of themselves they are when they beat that game. It's like people who quit smoking and can't stop telling you about it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear I quit smoking? It's incredible. I don't know why. I don't know what happens. Something happens once you beat that game that you just turn into a douche.
You think you're better than everybody else?
Yeah, you just get it's so uppity. I mean, such a weird thing to. I just found it to be. It wasn't even that it was hard. I mean, yes, it was definitely very, very difficult, but there was just things about it that didn't make sense. I mean, trying to determine which weapon was better than another weapon was an exercise in futility. They had like 15 letter codes that they didn't say and they didn't even mean anything. They weren't alphabetical, so something that was rated A, well, it might have been in one category, might have been worse than another one that was rated like Z, and it was some weird thing you had to look to like decipher this bizarre code that they laid out for which weapon is better than another weapon. And And the whole thing to me was just wasn't worth it. I didn't think it was fun enough to deal with that kind of aggravation. So I quit it. I'm trying to think. I think there was one other one I rage quit. I think there were two. Oh, you know what? I quit Conan a long time ago. Remember the Conan game for the 360? Conan the Destroyer,
Yeah.
I think it was. I didn't rage quit it, but the game saved me into an unwinnable error, and so it had a bug where you had to kill this guy, and that was the mission. But he would phase through a door, and you couldn't hit him, but he could hit you, and you couldn't get past that mission until he was dead, but you couldn't because he was behind the door, and the game had auto-saved me into it. There was only one save, so I couldn't just reload it. I would have had to go all the way back to the beginning and play the game again, so I quit it. So those would be the three. Wet's music was great. Michael says, yeah, Wet had great – it had great music. It had a great, like I don't even know how to describe the vibe it had, like a Grindhouse 70s sort of vibe, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
I guess that's how you'd sum that one up.
And they had all the, the filter, the green filter from movies and stuff, and the film that would break in between parts.
Yeah, that's right. That was a maybe I'll have to go back to it now. I kind of feel bad that I never beat that one because I really did enjoy it. And I didn't beat Bayonetta either. I almost beat it. I didn't rage quit it. I just something came out and distracted me from it, and I never went back and got through it. I was really loving it though. I did enjoy the hell out of it.
See, most of the time for me, it's not
something big. Yeah.
Most of the time for me, it isn't rage quitting. It's just boredom. I just get bored. And so I stop playing the game because it bores me.
Well, I beat almost everything I start, and it's pretty rare that I'll take something out. So whatever came out when I was playing Bayonetta must have been a big deal because it's very rare for me to stop playing one game to start another. I always like to have just one game going at a time. I like to beat it, and then I like to move on. So I don't know what it was. I should get back to it, but never heard it. Always radio YouTube. Oh, some people play. That's interesting too. This guy, all right. So he says in the comments that he never heard the music, always radio or YouTube on. And I've had other people tell me, DM me that they listen to this show. They say this is fun to listen to while I'm gaming. And I find that interesting because I don't know many people who play the games without the sound. But apparently it's a bigger thing than I thought it was. Apparently there's a lot of people that do that. I don't know that I would like that. I like to...
If I've already played through something, the second time I play through it, I will turn off the sound and I'll be like listening to music or listening to a TV show or something.
Huh. Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've never done that. I don't know.
And I turn on the subtitles so I can read all the dialogue.
Yeah, well, right. Professor fast forwards the dialogue because I think he has ADD. I don't know. I never thought about doing it. I mean, I sort of like the sound. It depends on what I'm playing. Like downstairs, see, our PS4 is downstairs, and I have a good surround sound system downstairs. So often I prefer to play games on the PS4 simply because the sound is way, way better. And upstairs with the Xboxes, we don't. I've been meaning to do it, but maybe I'll get a soundbar or something. But when you play a game on surround sound, like Battlefield, for example, was just awesome. I mean, it was just awesome. My neighbors asked me if there was an actual war in the house. So, yeah, I like it. I turn on a game, I crank up the surround sound, and that's how I play most of my games. I've never played one without the sound.
By the way, before we have like about 15 minutes left.
Yep, that's right.
So before we take off, I needed to tell you and then anybody listening, in a few days, I am going to be shuttering my Twitter account.
Really?
Yes.
You're just going to close it?
The account will still be there so that no one can impersonate me, but I will have deleted all my tweets, and I will not be posting anymore to the account.
Well, what brought that on?
I have real life things that I have to deal with that I can't do Twitter. So,
Well, that's rather shocking. That's disappointing. I enjoy your tweets.
well, I appreciate that. A lot of people said similar things. I just have to do what I have to do right now.
Huh. So it's nothing Twitter did. It's just you're busy with other shit and don't want to do it anymore.
I don't really want to. There are real life problems. That's all I want to talk about. But no, it's not due to anything Twitter is doing. Not that Twitter is doing good things, but it's not because of what Twitter is doing.
So okay, that's shocking, but and I hate it. I think it sucks. I hope you come back to it eventually. But why don't you why don't you shoot me an email over at Bacon Bits, or when we're off the air? Alternatively, I could give you I've only given my cell phone number out to two people. That'd be Professor and one other guy that I trust. But if you want to do it that way, I'll shoot it to you. Or if you want to email me at the Bacon Bits address, you can do that. But I'll have to have some way to get a hold of you to shoot you the join links and stuff for the show.
Yeah,
and just because I like to keep in, and I want to keep in touch anyway. So,
but by the way, I will still be doing Geek Gab, and I will still be doing, the Bacon Bits show, at least for the foreseeable future, unless something else bad happens. But so I'm not disappearing from everywhere. So,
well, just when we're off the air, just let's find a way to keep in touch. That's all.
Sure.
Because obviously we do it through Twitter, so we'll have to find another way to do it. And I like the Geek Gab show. I've been meaning to ask you. I should come back on there one of these days.
Yeah,
I had fun on that. When did I do that? Halloween. I think I did it on Halloween. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I think I was about 5 beers deep too, so you're lucky you got that out of me. I was literally sitting out on the top of my driveway because it was a pretty mild Halloween weather-wise for us here anyway. And I had a little fire going, and we were just sitting around, drinking some beers and handing out candy. And then I jumped onto your show. So I have to admit I have gone back and listened to it, and just to make sure I was coherent, and I was all right. I was okay. So I didn't make a mess of it. I think we talked about horror movies. Now, have you seen Deadpool?
No, I have not.
Is it on your list?
It is not on my list of movies I'm going to go see.
No, really, I'm surprised at that. I thought, I wanted to talk about that movie in particular because it's surprising industry experts. Every article I read about it has a quote from some industry expert who's shocked at how well that movie's performing. Not just because it's a superhero movie, because there was some talk that particular genre is starting to be a little overplayed. But because it doesn't have a 3D version and it's rated R, and they didn't think that a rated R superhero movie could possibly have a box office draw, but it's doing very, very well. So it's sort of hopeful, don't you think, that in the future you might get some of those kind of more gritty.
The thing about Deadpool that drove its success despite its being rated R, a movie like The Dark Knight that was rated R, basically, The Dark Knight as it exists with more violence and titties,
Right.
would not have done as well as Deadpool. What sold Deadpool was not it being rated R. What sold Deadpool was the humor and the attitude and all the things they did for their advertising campaign were absolutely crazy and outrageous and took advantage and they made new commercial spots like within a day. Something crazy something would happen, and they would have a crazy ad based on it less than a day later. They South Parked the thing, is what they did.
Yeah.
They had a short turnaround time because Ryan Reynolds, this is not just a movie he was doing for a paycheck. This is a movie he'd been trying to get made for 10 years. So he was willing to put in a ton of work. And I'm not saying, he didn't get paid for it. Obviously he did, but he was willing to do a ton of work to make sure that they had the most clever, funniest, most interesting ad campaign ever. And so what sold Deadpool was the attitude of the character. You could take that movie and recut it in a PG-13 version, take out the nudity, and it would still be a very popular movie. I'm not saying they should have done that. I'm just saying you could have done that.
Do you think his are you a little surprised that because he destroyed the Green Lantern that he found success in another superhero role?
I think that Deadpool is a character that Ryan Reynolds was born to play. That's just right up his alley. I mean, if you've ever seen his earliest movie in what is it? Van Wilder. Have you ever seen the Van Wilder movie?
I actually have recently. I hadn't seen it until recently, but yeah, I did. Kate made me watch it. She loves it.
He has that, smart ass kind of sense of humor. And that's what Deadpool is. And his entire persona when he was in Blade 3, and Wesley Snipes was coked to the gills and hiding in his trailer being completely crazy, like insisting that he was really Blade.
Yep, he's a mess.
And so they had to turn the whole movie over to Ryan Reynolds and the hot chick from Seventh Heaven, whose name I can't remember. But they carried that entire movie. And again, he did it with that same, sarcastic, snarky thing. And that's what he does really, really well. I'm not saying he can't do other stuff. He does do other stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. I love him. I love him in everything. I have for years. I've been a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds. So I actually went to see Green Lantern. I was obviously I didn't love it, but I'll see anything that he's in. He was actually, I've said this for years, and I'll be damned if I can get anyone to agree with me, but one of the best horror remakes I've seen in the last 15 years was when he was in Amityville. His remake of Amityville is fantastic.
You know what? I have never seen any Amityville. Any of them.
Really?
Not the originals, not the remake. And I know that's odd because they are, at least the original Amityville, the Amityville Horror is a landmark horror movie, but no, I haven't seen it.
That's surprising. You're such a big movie guy, and you haven't. But you don't particularly like horrors, though, do you?
I do like horror. I just haven't seen that one.
Huh? I don't know, man. I would tell you to go watch the Ryan Reynolds one, but I don't know if that would be fair to watch it backwards. So, but watch the original and then maybe watch that one. But it's a really solid remake, man. He did a great job with that movie. Like, think like he channeled Jack Nicholson from The Shining. I'm not saying he's that as good a performer, but he played that sort of a role, and he played it pretty well. He was menacing and scary and deadly serious the entire movie. It's definitely worth a watch, and I like him. Did you see the one Buried?
Yes, I was going to mention that one. Yeah. That was my example of he can do other stuff because Buried was such a well done movie.
It's funny. I resisted watching that one for a long time because the description was so boring. They didn't do a great job either in the previews or with the IMDb, whoever writes those little 2-line tagline descriptions. It just didn't sound like it was a boring. It sounded like a boring movie to me. But when I finally did watch it, what a pleasant surprise it was because it was fantastic, and he was really terrific in that.
Yeah.
I regret not seeing that one. I would, no one's seen that one. I don't think it was just me that was put off by that description because a lot of people that I know personally, when I say, have you seen that one? And they say, oh, is that the one where it's 2 hours of a guy in a box? No, I'm not watching that. So that's what people's perception of that movie was. So and it's unfortunate because it's great. It
is a really, really good movie.
Now, I did put up a review on baconbitshow.com of Ex Machina. Have you watched that yet?
I have seen Ex Machina.
And you're going to disagree with me. I can tell from your tone. You didn't like it, did you?
No, I thought it was I thought the ending was designed to be faux introspective to where it would give a certain class of people. I mean, look, I'm a science fiction fan. I've been reading science fiction all my life. And the issue of AI and hostile AI and whatever has been long discussed in science fiction for decades, going back to RUR by a Czechoslovakian writer, which is where we got the word robot from, was the book R period U period R period.
Right.
And even before then, golems, by stories about golems that aren't science fiction, but they were basically discussing the same thing of free will and all that. I mean, they're centuries old. And so the movie didn't do anything new or original from a science fictional standpoint. And I don't think it did. I don't think it really explored the issue in ways that were unusual to me, but I do realize that I have read a lot more of those stories than most people will have read.
Right. So, okay. So, because, you know, that's the lens that you watched it through, as someone who's read piles and piles and piles of similar stories. It
Yes.
probably seemed a little more stale to you than it might to. All right. I can see how you got there. I mean, I understand that. I won't get into it because I spent like an hour writing that thing. So it's over on baconbitshow.com. I gave it 4 bacon strips. I actually really enjoyed it. I am one of the few people I know personally who enjoyed Her too when that was made. I mean, I know that it got acclaim. I know other people like it. I'm just saying, in my own personal little group, a lot of people thought that was very boring and didn't care for it. But I liked it. I saw flashes of it in here a little bit, or at least some of the same premises. I would say were recycled a little bit. So.
Did you watch Sim 1?
Sid 1. It doesn't sound familiar.
SIM. It's actually S1M0NE. Simone. It's got Al Pacino in it. It's pretty much the same thing.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't actually see that. No, I didn't. Was it good?
I think I've watched it, but I honestly don't remember. That's how much of an impression it made on me. Is I think I watched it. I was kind of interested in watching it at one point, but I don't recall if I actually pulled the trigger and broke down and watched it.
Huh, that's interesting. I was gonna finally see Mad Max. I'm the last person on Earth who has not seen the new Mad Max.
Oh, Fury Road?
I downloaded it. Yeah, it's on HBO on demand. I downloaded it, and it keeps disappearing from my DVR. I don't know why. No one's deleting it. There's just some kind of weird glitch going on with HBO. So every time I go to look for it, it's gone. So it's driving me insane. I need to see it. I'm the only person I know who hasn't seen it. This is how I get stuck with these things. That's why I haven't seen Star Wars. Everyone went without me, and now I'm stuck, and I gotta find. I might have to go by myself.
I bought Creed on iTunes the other day, Tuesday, because that's when it came out, and so yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And so they downloaded it like 3 times. I had 3 copies of Creed on my hard drive.
Jesus Christ. Well, that's awful. Hey, if you're going to have 3 copies of a movie, that's a good one to have.
Yeah. Now, they didn't charge me for it. It's not like I got ripped off or anything. I just it kept on saying, oh, no, you haven't downloaded Creed. I'm like,
one of those things.
Yes, I did. Yeah. It's right there. Check for new download.
That's happened to me before. I actually bought, oh God, everyone's going to make fun of me, but I bought Bat Outta Hell, the Meatloaf album, which I've probably bought about 5 times over the years on iTunes. I wound up downloading the stupid thing like 3 times. I don't know why that glitch happens, but sometimes it does. It's got to be an iTunes thing. But so I had 3 copies of, and then when, of course, I went to sync my phone, I ran out of memory, and I couldn't figure out how I could have run out of memory, and I'm like, oh. That's because because all the Meatloaf songs are like 20 minutes long, and I have 3 copies of the album. So
I like
my
that
hard drive. It's one of my favorite albums.
Wait, I've seen it. Bat Outta Hell or Bat Outta Hell 2?
Either one. You take your pick. I love them both. I have seen that guy in concert a crazy amount of times.
Really?
His live shows are amazing. Have you never saw him?
I've never seen him live. I have seen a very limited number of bands live.
Well, I've seen some bands live that are truly awful, and I've seen some bands that clearly the studio has helped out in the recording process. Who he is on stage. He sounds great. I mean, I'm going back a few years now. He's getting old, so I don't know if he sounds the same, but he sounds great. He is extremely high energy, and he puts on a show. I'm exhausted watching him up there. He's worth it. Whatever the price is, I think we paid like $100. He was at SPAC, which is local outdoor kind of theater here. He's fine. He's awesome. Thinking, because we were talking about R-rated movies doing well. Do you remember? This always cracks me up when I think about it, because over on the Ain't It Cool news site where Harry Knowles resides, his comment section is basically everything that's wrong with the internet and geek culture in general is in his comment section. They're the most uptight, arrogant, condescending nerds that you've ever seen in your entire life. Each and every one of them should be slapped. I mean, his comment sections are I don't know how he puts up with it. They're horrible. But when Bruce Willis had announced that that last Die Hard was gonna be PG-13 instead of R, you would have thought the world ended over there. They went insane to the point where Bruce Willis had to go. He went into the comment section to try to explain why the movie was going to be PG-13 and not R, and it was because of the number of fucks. Because he was going to say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, I think 3 times, and that's like an instant R, so he was only allowed to say it like once or something like that. So
yeah.
And they wanted to stay inside of the PG-13. He was trying to calm them down and say, look, we didn't tone down the violence. It's still going to be an action movie, but it's just because I can't say fuck too many times. And so they, that's what happened. But they never got happy with it. And, it was an awful movie anyway. But
those last two, those last two were just terrible. The Russian one, the hacker one.
The Russian one was terrible, but I have an odd fondness for that one with Justin Long. I don't know why I like it, but I did like it. I guess maybe I was just so happy to see him back in action, maybe is what it was. Some of those things, I can't tell if I like it or if it's a nostalgia thing,
Timothy Olyphant, the actor who played the bad guy, I love him. Yeah, he's a great actor. And I've liked a lot of the stuff he's been in. He was in Deadwood and he was in Justified, which I think is just the apex of American television.
Justified is so good. It is so good.
Yeah, it really is.
He was in the remake of The Crazies, which was actually pretty decent. I don't know if you've seen that, but
yes, I have seen that.
He's one of those. I've said, what I've been saying for probably since Deadwood was I would be totally against anyone remaking. But if someone had to remake that, I would trust it to Timothy Olyphant. I think he's got a similar growl. I think he could do it.
You just so totally broke up. I have no idea what movie you're talking about.
I know I did. I don't know what. I think the Hangout just kind of quit a little bit here.
Oh. Are you running in a web browser?
Yeah. Must have been an internet thing. What I just said was I thought if anyone was going to remake a Dirty Harry movie, it would be Timothy Olyphant. I would trust Timothy Olyphant to do it.
They're going to do it sooner or later. They're going to do it.
I know. I know. I'm going to dread it, but
and they're going to stick Channing Tatum in it.
Yeah, I know. They're going to do something. No, you know what they'll do? They'll make it a girl. It'll be Dirty Sally or something. They'll get a girl somehow.
Amy Schumer. Yeah.
Yeah, Amy Schumer could do it. Holy shit, does she look bad in that Budweiser ad? I mean, she's got some nerve shaming Taylor Swift. Talking about her thigh gap. Jesus Christ. She's full blown, not just SJW. I'm convinced that Amy Schumer is off her nut. And just entirely off. Her and Kanye are both just crazy. He's begging for money that's just awesome. And then today he said something about it was racist. So I think what happened was Kanye must have somehow bumped into Sarkeesian when she was out in Hollywood, talking to Joss Whedon. And she must have explained to him how victim bucks work. So he was like, oh, if I just keep screaming racism and then go on the internet and beg for money, I'll get money. I think that's what he must have taken a lesson from her.
I seriously, and this shows how disconnected I got from popular culture for the, 2000s, late 2000s. I had just didn't have a lot of contact with American pop culture for about 5 years. And so you'll notice on Twitter that everything that falls into that gap, I have to ask about every now and then. So I missed the Kardashians coming up, and I missed Kanye coming up. And finally, the first thing I really heard about Kanye was him being such a dick at the Grammys to Taylor Swift. And I'm like, who the hell does this guy think he is? What has he ever done to think that he justifies that ego? And then I've heard some of his music since then, and I'm like, I literally cannot understand why people like him.
I can't either. I don't understand it for 1 minute. And you didn't miss, to quote Office Space, I wouldn't say you missed the Kardashians, Bob. Believe me, you're much better off having not seen that.
Oh, yeah. See, there are some forms of music that I don't enjoy that I get why. I understand why other people do enjoy them, like jazz. I don't like jazz, but I understand why people do. I understand why they would like jazz. So, I can hang with that. That's okay. But Kanye, I'm like, this is crap. This is just bad. This is terrible.
Oh, it's awful. It is awful. Remember that? You might not remember it, but that old comedian Sam Kinison.
Oh yeah.
Who turned on the rap music? It's like someone farted in my car. He had a great bit on rap. I used to love that guy, man. He was the first. I was pretty young when he died, but I remember him being like the first celebrity that I was really bummed out about.
Yeah,
when he passed
Sam
away.
Kinison used to be a preacher. He used to be, I think, a Baptist preacher, and then he stopped and went off and became a stand-up comedian. It was hilarious. And I got to tell you, my favorite part of Sam Kinison wasn't his stand-up comedian act. It was his role in Back to School.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, that is a classic scene. That is just a classic scene. No matter that, I mean, I've shown people that movie who hate Rodney Dangerfield, and like Kate's not a particularly big Rodney Dangerfield fan, but she loves Back to School. I think everyone loves Back to School.
It is.
I just love it.
Got Robert Downey Jr. in it. Shocking of all shocks.
I'm telling you, I'm a huge Dangerfield fan. I will watch anything that he's. Hell, I remember watching Ladybugs. The guy's just funny. Back to School was great, and what's the one I'm thinking of with the Billy? Easy Money was hilarious.
Rodney Dangerfield is the best part of. No, that's not true. He's the second best part of Caddyshack.
Yeah, he's great in Caddyshack. He was iconic. He really was.
Bill Murray is the best part of Caddyshack because he's Bill Murray, and
yeah, Bill Murray's awesome. Everyone knows that. But I don't think Rodney Dangerfield gets the credit he deserves. And some of his movies are better than people think. They're better than people think they are. They're always surprised. I like showing them to people who've never seen him because they're always surprised that he's not just a guy who gets no respect. That's not. They think that's what he's going to do for 90 minutes or something. But he's a lot funnier than he gets credit for, I think.
The way the thing is, he makes it seem so effortless, and you think, oh, well, he's just acting like a jerk. I'm like, yeah, but he's acting like a jerk in a way that makes you laugh and laugh and laugh, and not just hate him because he's a jerk. When he's in Back to School, and he walks in, and his wife's having that fancy dinner party, and he slaps down that loaf of French bread and digs out and makes that sandwich. You're just like, oh my, you're just dying.
He's just a regular guy, right? Makes a huge sandwich, grabs a beer. Doesn't he say something to that fat chick? Like he says, "Hey, if that dress had pockets, you'd be a pool table." And he just keeps on walking.
It's hard to be, a jerk and have people still love you and laugh at what you're doing and not, oh well, he just was so rude to her.
Yeah. He's a one. He's a 1 in a million, definitely. Him and Kinison together on screen was the highlight of my youth. I just couldn't get enough of that movie. So, all right, I guess we're 10 minutes over, so I think we're going to just go ahead and cut it out here. I've been trying – I was able to keep it strictly to an hour last week so we could get over to your show, and it seemed like a good idea because an hour is generally about when things go stale. So
yeah. So
I think – yeah.
Is Kate Nellis ever coming back on? I thought you guys were that was like gonna be a regular.
Yeah, she's been busy at work, so she's been like crashing early. She gets home, eats, tries to stay up for the show, but she winds up falling. She was passed out on the couch when I came upstairs, so I don't. She'll get back on here. She's like, this is a busy time of the year for her, and just like it is for the professor. So hopefully they're both gonna get their schedules clear here in the next couple of weeks and come back to the show. So it's not just me and not just you and I all the time, but. I would think, sometime in the next week or two she'll be back.
Okay.
Professor said March 2nd, so hopefully it'll be a 3-time deal. All right, so thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next week. Me, Daddy Warpig. Don't forget Geek Gab, which is what is it this week? Saturday at 8?
It's on Saturday, probably.
Oh, all right. Watch. You know what? If you delete your tweets, just why don't you just send me an email and I'll send out a tweet that's that'll tell people when Geek Gab is on if they want to come listen.
Okay.
So I can pimp that for you.
I still have a Geek Gab Twitter account that I haven't really been using, but I might have to get it back up and running with my account going dead. So.
Right. Okay. What? Well, if that's what's gonna, geez, I still think that sucks, but I guess I wish I could talk you out of it, but I know how you are. You're not gonna. You sound serious about it, but all right, guys, we will see you next week when it's me, Daddy Warpig. Definitely. Same time. I'm just looking for my DMs here. I don't think Professor next week, but probably the week after that. So thanks again, and we will see you all next week.